William Getz is here to give us a skinny on OWASP Juice Shop.
Hello, how's everybody tonight?
Great.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for having me. I've got a little bit of a lightning talk, mostly prepared, so I'll just go ahead and start. So my name is William. I am a software consultant and an application security champion, and I'm here to talk about OWASP Juice Shop and how I was able to use it to help bring application security information and excitement across different departments at one of the jobs that I had recently. So one of the challenges that we've had in software has been baking application security into our development lifecycle, and part of that is due to the fact that there's this lack of information of where do we go to find it. Now, we here at PajamaCon and at the various different conferences for security kind of know where to go, but a lot of devs don't really know where to start, or their only experience has been lots of reports saying how terrible their application is and how many vulnerabilities it has. So they don't really find it very, very fun. And there's a perception that it's difficult to understand, and how do we even begin to understand and where to start? But what I've been trying to accomplish has been overcoming the divide between security and dev, between that, oh, this thing's going to be kind of difficult to do, versus it's actually really fun, even though it is difficult. And that it's a great puzzle to solve, and we developers absolutely love puzzles. At AppSec, back up, at SQL Pass Summit here in 2019, a good portion of the theme was about application security, with GDPR in full force and CCPA here in California going into effect at the beginning of 2020. There was a lot of discussion about top-down, or not top-down, but from top to bottom security being everybody's concern, not just the developers, not just the application security team, not just IT, but everybody, including the DBAs. And many of the discussions that I had there centered around, well, where do we start? We've got all this information about how terrible these data breaches are and how it's all of our responsibility, but we don't really know where to begin. Or in some of the cases, they've been given the OWASP top 10. Here is a printout of the top 10, make it so. Just do it, do AppSec. And talking about OWASP, I discovered that there's lots and lots of free resources. When I went to my first OWASP conference, I discovered that there's cheat sheets galore all across the OWASP website. They record many of the videos of they record many of their conference talks and put them up on their YouTube channel for free. There's hosts of applications that have been written to assist everybody in doing what it is that they would like to do as far as application security goes. And that's really, really exciting and really empowering, because it could just tell people, hey, check out OWASP. Go to their, you can just search it in the YouTube, and it's not quite so intimidating as say, oh, go to DEF CON. I've talked to many people and they say, oh, DEF CON, oh, that's kind of scary. It's not scary. It's a lot of fun, but OWASP, it seems to be a nice little entry level into that security thing to get people excited. And talking about the applications available, that's where we get these wonderful, wonderful tools like the dependency checker. You can run dependency checker to find if you've got any vulnerable dependencies in your application. You've got the Z-Attack proxy, which is a nice tool for doing security pen testing. But what I found is my favorite is Juice Shop. And I discovered that when I was trying to find a way to put into practice Troy Hunt's Hack Yourself First. A few years ago when I was trying to accomplish it, a lot of the servers were down. Like he'd actually put out saying, hey, these servers that you can use to actually practice against are rather expensive, and so I've taken them down temporarily. I believe they're now up, but in the interim, trying to practice SQL injection and man-in-the-middle attacks and all these other wonderful things that you want to protect your applications against, it can run into some federal complications if you are doing it with applications you don't own, on networks that you don't own. And Juice Shop is specifically designed for you to be able to run locally on your computer. So you're not even crossing over any network boundaries. You're not going from my computer here at work to try to man in the middle of my own application somewhere else. It's absolutely fantastic. And what I love about it is, since it does run on your local computer, you can get your other dev friends involved. You can bring in your manager, you can bring in other people, and you can run it. Since it is a fully fledged web application that is designed purposefully to be vulnerable. It uses gamification to help spur you along in that discovery. So once you discover the scoreboard of the app, which will give you a list of all of the different vulnerabilities that have been baked into it, you can track your progress. There's a percentage of how many vulnerabilities you've found versus how many are still out there. And if you get stuck, because a lot of these get really, really challenging really quick, there's hints that are involved. There's tooltips. You can go to your scoreboard and hover over over one of the challenges you're trying to accomplish, and it will give you a tip. And if you need more, you can click on it, and it will take you to the Pwning Juice Shop web book, which will give you more of a tip, right? If you still need it, it can actually, there's another part of the book that will walk you through the challenge step by step. And this is great because as a dev, when you're trying to get people excited or trying to get them understanding why it is we want to do something, why is it that the way we've decided to write this API leaves it somewhat vulnerable to some form of like injection attack or cross-site scripting or cross-request site forgery. Any one of those things. You can actually point to a challenge and you can walk through the challenge and you can practice it on this tool, and then you can go to your own application and ask yourself, well, how can I do this on this app when I'm running it locally to debug and I'm running it to develop? How can I kind of get in there? And it's really, really very exciting, because when I introduced this, we did a brown bag lunch and we got people from hardware engineering, from a couple of different software engineering groups, as well as product owners and a few people from marketing. And we all got together on computers. And many of these people have never opened up development tools in Chrome or Firefox or any of the other browsers like IE or Edge. So this was their first experience in taking a look at what these tools can do. And diving into the actual process of discovering the vulnerabilities and seeing what happens when you actually start attacking applications, there were a lot of lights that went off and people understood. They said, oh, that's what injection is. I get it. I've been guarding against that for a long time. I just didn't know that that's what it was called. And now they can actually put two and two together, and they can be more, I've found that they're more attentive or more understanding of what's going on. And then my product owners and my managers understand a little bit more about why things take a little longer. Right? It's like, oh, it takes a bit longer to do the thing because there's more work that needs to be done. And at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. And while not everybody took it to heart, there were people in our hardware engineering department and in one of the automation software engineering departments that asked to actually have their own personal instance of Juice Shop set up so they could practice against it. And up until the time that I left this company, I could see that they were still hitting it every couple of days. So that's how I brought it as a quick lightning talk. I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll post the references here in the chat. So thank you. Went over by a few minutes. I apologize, but thank you.
Thank you, William. I think it was worth going over for the quality of content, and I'm a big fan of Juice Shop. I've done a few workshops with it, so I was glad you could promote Juice Shop and get everyone learning about it.
Oh, I love it. I ran a CTF with it, and that was so much fun. I love it so much.
So if anyone who has their cameras on or can turn on their cameras or microphones, give William a big round of applause. And
thank you.
Big thank you for coming out. And that wraps up our speaker list for the night. If people want to socialize or chat, they're definitely welcome to.